We get to start block 3, and it's all about percents. If you didn't know what percent meant, it means a ratio that compares a number to 100. You can also think about it this way. The word per in math means out of. The word cent refers to 100, like thinking about 100 pennies or 100 cents in a dollar. So percent means out of 100. Our learning targets today are I can convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. That's a huge tool for this unit. And also I can describe ways percentages are used in real world situation. So let's get brainstorming. Where have you seen and or used percentages in your daily life? Pause this video right now and write down a few ideas. When you're done, go ahead, resume. All right, I hope you had an opportunity to do some brainstorm. Have you seen percentages on tests? Maybe not recently since we've moved to standard reference grading, but we do see sometimes percentages on tests, test scores. How about coupons? 20% off at Goodwill. I love Goodwill. I want to know what that 20% off means. How about on receipts at restaurants? So when I pay my bill with a credit card, what happens when I see 15, 18, 20% tip? What does that mean? And also, what if I buy something at Walmart and I see some percentages on the receipt? What do those mean? How about even on the news? So let's go ahead and explore some of these topics today in our lesson, and we're going to figure out how these percentages are related to real world situations. Let's start with this. If you've ever gone out to eat before, and let's say your family pays with a credit card, or maybe if they don't pay with a credit card, you get a bill and you're supposed to leave a tip. So a tip is actually a gratitude. If you give a tip to somebody, such as a waiter in a restaurant, you give them some money to thank them for their service in addition to the price of the meal. Some of you too might even tip your hairdresser, somebody that cuts your hair, or maybe give a tip to somebody who drives you to the airport if you were going to go on a trip. So just remember again that tips are added onto your bill. Typically, tips range between 15 and 20% of your bill. Now, another thing is how does a coupon or discount work to get a percentage off something you buy? Okay, well, if I was going to buy some school supplies and I saw this coupon for 50% off, it would take half of the dollar amount off of my bill. If I was going to bake a cake for someone's birthday and I saw this coupon 30% off, it takes 30% off of the total purchase. So it's going to save me money. That's exactly what I want, and it's going to decrease my bill. So again, discounts, percentage discounts, or coupon discounts decrease your bill. All right, what is sales tax? So if you go to the dollar store and everything's a dollar, why is it that you have to pay $1.09 approximately when you buy one item? Well, it's because of sales tax. Sales tax tell us that our sales tax is placed on an item that's sold in the stores, and taxes are actually provided, or taxes are actually charged because they bring revenue or money in for our state, county, and or city government. So we're charged sales tax so our community can earn money, repair roads, to cut down trees if needed, to repair bridges, lots of different things for our city. Even sometimes sales tax is used for other items through the government. So I wanted to let you know that in this situation, when I went to Target in Gig Harbor, I paid 8.7% tax, sales tax. So what that meant is I paid about 9 cents approximately, I rounded up, per dollar in taxes for what I bought at Target. Every dollar I spent, I paid 9 cents to the state or my city to help gain revenue, to give them money to repair roads, um, things that cities need. And remember, again, taxes are added on your bill. All right, another word is commission. What is commission and how does it work? So we're going to be seeing this word come up in our lesson. So you're going to notice I have two pictures up. Commission is a sum of money paid to a salesperson for every sale that they make. So I have a friend who's a real estate agent. Every time she sells a house, she gets a commission. She gets a percentage of the home sale price. I also know somebody who sells cars, and they get a percentage of what they sell. So they get approximately 25% commission on their sales. Real estate agents get about 5 to 6% of those. Sometimes real estate agents and car salesmen, who are two occupations that get commission, there are more, but they sometimes get a base salary, but they also get a commission. They get a percentage of what they sell. So remember, again, commission is added to a paycheck. Okay, what is profit? So profit is the money you make after your expenses are paid off. So I'm going to give you an example. If I spent $10 on materials to bake this lovely rainbow unicorn cake, and I made the cake and sold the pieces for $2 a piece, I would only make profit when the $10 I spent gets paid off. So, for instance, I would have to sell 5 pieces of cake before I made a profit. I just wanted to let you know, in this lesson or in this unit, you're going to see profit represented as percentages as well. Don't forget that profit is money you earn, so it's added to your amount. All right, let's talk markup. So I love Cheetos. What is a markup and how does it work? So envision your school student store. And let's say somebody buys this bag of Cheetos for 25 cents at Costco. Now, the student store sells this bag to students for $1. Why do you think? Okay, well, the student store is actually trying to make money off of us, just like any other business. They buy things a little bit cheaper and mark them up. That means increase the price to make money. So the bag actually has been marked up in value 400%. So this is an example of markup. It's an increase in the price, and sometimes markups can be written as percentages. Don't forget, markups are added to the cost of that original price. And remember, again, the difference goes to the student store. So here are some percentages. And I just put again them in categories. When would we add money on? When would we take money away? So if you want to write this down, you can pause and do that at any time. Now, the next part of our target today is I can convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. Because this is a pretty broad topic, I'm going to break this apart into little chunks. So we're going to start off today with I can write a percent as a fraction and a decimal. So the first strategy we can use is to write the value of the percent in the numerator of the fraction and 100 in the denominator, because remember, percent means out of 100. And then you're going to write your fraction in simplest form. We can also write the percent as a decimal. We can write it as a fraction, then convert the fraction to a decimal. So let's try these two methods. Let's go ahead and start this first one. So 36%, write it as 36 out of 100. This is how I would write it as a fraction. And then in order to write it a decimal, if I have 36 out of 100, because 100 is in the hundredths, I have a hundredths place value, I can write 36, so the 6 is right in the hundredths place, and that's how I would convert to a decimal. If I don't feel comfortable putting a fraction to a decimal by the place value, you can also divide. You could do 36 divided by 100. That's also okay, and you would get that same decimal of 36 hundredths. Okay, let's do the next one, 72%. So in order to change to a fraction, I'm going to take 72, which is the percent, and I'm going to put it over 100. Done. Now I'm going to convert that fraction to decimal, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in as 72 hundredths because 2 is in the hundredths place, just like the 6 was. And then this last one, 140%. I'm going to write 140 over 100. And then when I write this fraction as a decimal, because this percentage is over 100, I'm going to write 1.40 or 1 and 40 hundredths, and that would be my decimal. Just remember, I can change that to 1.4 or 1 4/10 as my final answer for my decimal. Now, going back to these fractions, these are all written in non-simplified form. So if you were asked to simplify these fractions, just make sure again that you do simplify. And 36 over 100 would reduce to 9 over 25. Sometimes it's really important to make sure that those fractions are in simplified form. I'm going to go ahead and simplify 72 over 100. And that's going to give me 18 over 25 as a simplified version, just in case if you're asked or needed. And then that last one, if I did 140 over 100, this is an improper fraction, so I can write it as 7/5 reduced. Okay, so let's go ahead and try the next part. So as I look at this one, I can write a decimal to a percent. There are two methods. So we can use one method where we convert the decimal to a fraction and then write as a percent. Or we can use this method. We can multiply the decimal by 100. We're going to try this strategy for both. So let's go ahead and start with method one. I'm going to convert this decimal to a fraction. When I read this out loud, it says 45 hundredths. So I'm going to write 45 over 100. Now, if I see 45 over 100, remember, percent means out of 100. So because 45 is over 100, I can just take 45, which is the numerator, and make that into my fraction, 45%. Okay, I'm going to try the second one. So 2 and 37 hundredths. So I'm going to write that as a mixed number. 2, because it's bigger than 1. 2 and 37 over 100. Now, if I write this as a percent, I'm going to go ahead and change this so it's going to be 237%. Now, if I wanted to, I could also write this as 237 over 100 if I didn't want to write it as a mixed number. Now, let's go ahead and try method two. So if I wanted to, I could do 45 hundredths, and I could multiply that by 100, just like I could do 2 and 37 hundredths, and multiply that by 100. Because percents are out of 100, that multiplication would get you 45, which is 45%, and it would also get you 237%. So again, you can either change the decimal to a fraction first and then convert to a percent, or you can take the decimal, multiply by 100 to get your percentage. That's how you can write your decimal as a percent. Okay, let's try one last one today. And here is the final one. You can write a fraction as a percent. I have a few here. Now, the first method is being able to write an equivalent fraction with 100 in the denominator and then write the percent. Method two means that you could convert to a decimal and then multiply by 100. I wanted to let you know that in these strategies, sometimes one method works all the time. Sometimes one method can only work for some situations. So we'll talk about that. Okay, let's go ahead and start this first one. We're going to write an equivalent fraction with the denominator of 100. I'm going to share with you here 1/8. If I wanted to figure out how many times 8 goes into 100, it's 12.5. So it doesn't work out easily for me to use this method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert 1/8 to a decimal and then multiply by 100. 1/8, if I was going to convert, because I can't change the denominator to 10 or 100 like our place values, I'm going to do 8. See how many times 8 goes into 1. I'm going to have to add a decimal and go ahead and divide. 8 goes into 10 one time for 8, getting 2 left over. I'm going to add another 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times for 16. And when I subtract here and I get 4, oh, sure enough, if I add another 0, I have no remainder now. 8 goes into 40 5 times, no remainder. Sorry about that. It's getting a little close to the bottom. So I'm going to shoot my decimal place straight up, and my decimal would be 0.125 or 125 thousandths. If I was going to convert that to a decimal, or excuse me, if I was going to convert that to a percent, that decimal to a percent, I'm going to multiply by 100. And by doing that, I would get 12.5 or 12 and 5/10%. Okay, let's try the second one, 2 and 1/5. I'm going to write an equivalent fraction with the denominator of 100. Okay, I can do that for this one. I'm going to change 1/5. I'm going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 20. So I would get 2 and 20 over 100. Now, then I'm going to convert this fraction into a percent. And so I would write 220%. Remember, 2 and 20 over 100 means the same as 220 over 100 if I change that to an improper fraction. And sure enough, I get 220%. If I did want to do this a little bit different, I can convert 2 and 1/5 to decimal. So I would have to do 1 divided by 5 by adding my 0 here. 5 goes into 10 twice, no remainder. So I would have 2/10, and I would multiply 2.2 or 2 and 2/10 times 100 to verify again that I get 220%. So remember again, if I was going to convert from a fraction to a percent, I could do a couple things. I could convert the fraction to a denominator of 100. So I'm going to try that one more time here. 10 times 10 is 100. So 3 times 10 is 30. So that would be 30 over 100. And then converting this number over 100 to a percent, which is 30. Or I could use the second method, convert the fraction to a decimal and then multiply by 100. So the cool thing is I know 3/10. If I write that, I could just write my decimal just like this, 3/10, putting the 3 in the 10th place. And then if I multiply that by 100, sure enough, I get 30%. So hopefully this review was helpful. We learned about how we could identify where percents are in real world situations. And then also we practiced converting between fractions, decimals, and percents. Make sure then that you've written down your examples. You can pause at any time, go back, rewatch, and then let's try that practice. Bye.